Hey everyone, welcome to Untamed and Unhinged Reptile Podcast. My name is Brooke. Bo Lizard is my social media, and tonight I am joined by Cheyenne from the Real Khaleesi and then Amy Happy Basins. And tonight we are kicking off Ladies' Night in a fun way. Amy, do you want to start by showing us your beautiful snake there and introducing yourself?
Greetings, I'm Amy Benzie from Happy Basins, and this is Agmois, and this is Zaltis, and these are two of my 7 Happy Basins.
Oh my gosh, those are beautiful.
Thank you.
How many? So when did you get into basins?
Basins, as in the basin of the Amazon rainforest.
Yeah.
These.
When did you
Yes.
get into those guys in particular?
I started working with snakes in, I guess it was June of 2020.
Okay.
So pretty new. I always had snakes as a kid, and then my daughter, who's 31 now, had a snake when she was a kid, and then I hadn't had snakes in about 27 years, and then I had a vision in one of my ayahuasca journeys of me with snakes, and so I left my job as a mathematics professor and started traveling the Amazon rainforest and learning about these guys and then collecting them here in my house.
Oh, wow.
So that's a quick story of my story.
Yeah, no, that's a crazy journey. And then Cheyenne, what got you into reptiles to begin with?
Yeah, so it was actually really random. There was a baby sulcata tortoise that was walking on the sidewalk of our street. I didn't know it was a sulcata. And I came from the makeup and fashion industry, so reptiles weren't even anything that I really thought about. So we found him on the side of the street, and then we just rescued him, reached out to a reptile shop because we didn't know what he was and we wanted to find out. And then through that reptile shop, we found out what black dragons are. So I ended up buying 3 of them.
Okay. I thought you only had the 2, the male and the female. Do you?
Yeah. So I have, this is Kata. He's hanging out right there. I have Kata, and then I have Kilua, Kill, who's the female. But we had a 3rd one, but he passed away within like the first month of us having him.
Were they all captive bred from the start? Okay. That's awesome.
They're all captive bred.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about the loss. That is unfortunate. But do you want to go into your page specifically, what you do, or why you're doing your page exactly to show off your guys in every way?
Yeah. So, social media, when it came to me, it wasn't really something that I thought about. It wasn't something that I intended to monetize or for it to blow up. It was just I have these really cool dragons and I'm enjoying my time with them. And, I feel like a lot of people are intimidated by them because, they're a large breed of lizards. So once my social media started blowing up, I thought, you know what, it'd probably be a good idea to start educating people a little bit more on them. That way you're not getting people that were kind of like me and just, blindly buying an animal because they think that it's cool.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I mainly focus on now is to just, educate people on the animals and making sure that the people get the animal that they should, not just, what they want.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. Oh my gosh, her room is so amazing.
I know, I'm
jealous. For you to put that entire room together to look the way it does and have all the plants growing, that is insane.
Yes, I really do everything I can. You can't really see her, but there's a huge pregnant female back up in that corner. Maybe I could show you later. But like I said, I traveled to the Amazon rainforest to study these guys in the wild. And each time, well, in the beginning, each time I was coming home, we were adding more, little things that I found out there. And now all of our enclosures have full rain systems with drainage and misting and float air, everything that we could do. They use, right now I have the lights on photo setting, so they're white, but they're usually just blue and red.
Okay.
Because that's what light would come through the mid canopy where these guys are. So we really try to give them as natural of an environment as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. How many years? So you started in 2020. So has it taken you 4 years to build it up to look the way that it does now, or was that basically right?
Continuous growth.
Okay.
But yes, we started off with some Zen habitat enclosures upstairs in the room, and now they're all downstairs, and they have their whole own air system, so it stays warm and humid down here. And then we, had all of this cabinets built, and behind the upper and lower cabinets are all tons and tons of electrical equipment and, plumbing and everything. So it's gotten quite entailed over the last 4 years.
That's good. Will this be your first litter that you produce with the mother that you have? Okay. Wow.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And then I ended up, I thought I had 3 females and 4 males, but we found out over the last year and a half that I have 6 males and 1 female.
That's fun.
So, yeah, but that's okay. When she has her babies, we will definitely keep all the females, and then it's hard to even say that I would be parting with males. So we'll see how that works out for me. I think I'll probably just have to build another room. I mean, we have the other room. I just have to make it a jungle. Then I can keep them all.
Yeah. So your plan was never to breed them to sell them. This was just because you wanted to really understand how these guys worked through and through.
Yes, like I said, I had a true vision, a real vision of these animals, and I just felt so much love from them, and I definitely got them as pets. I actually wanted false water cobras, and my husband had never touched a snake in his life. And he was looking at the water cobras, and he said, well, how about I pick the type of snake and we can get some of them? And so he picked these guys, and he just fell in love with them. So I was determined that I wanted the false water cobras because I wanted snakes as pets that I could handle and interact with. And then, of course, when I started reading more about these, and especially when I started posting on Facebook, my big girl that's over there, I posted a picture of her just around my neck, and we were looking out the window, and I thought it was so sweet. And then we get all these ugly. I deleted my post. I was sick in my stomach. Everybody says those animals are not supposed to be touched. They're display animals. We're going to stress them out, and they're never going to eat again. And
yeah.
But now, 4 years later, I've done, I don't know if there's anybody out there who's been to the rainforest 8 times to study these guys in the wild and raise them. And you can't even buy something off my Facebook marketplace, because if you come over to my house, you're going to be covered in at least 5 of these things and take pictures and videos. So my animals are extremely happy and healthy and handleable, and now pregnant. So, those people now can say what they want to. My skin's thicker, but I still don't post in the Emerald Forum page and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel like that can be a jealousy factor too, of people just not understanding their animals, and then they get upset with those things. But I mean, especially when you look at your animals, they're in immaculate condition. If that animal was stressed, it would be reacting in a stressed way. And the way that their tongues are flicking and the way that they're moving, they're happy. They're actually happy.
So happy faces.
So what do you do with working with them to, do they all come to you acting this way, or do you just have a bond with them where you know how to work with them, or do you have to do certain interactions with them to get them used to being out like this?
Well, I find them in the wild, and they're exactly like this. You can see tons of videos of me with wild northerns, and I pick them up 5 at a time, and I handle them just exactly like this. And I put them on children's necks, and all people who've hunted these snakes for decades but never touched one, I put it on their neck, 3 of them at a time.
Yeah.
And these animals are just extremely tame. You know, I've handled a lot of different types of wild snakes, and I have never had one. Well, I take that back. The rainbow boa is like this. But they're 100% of these wild ones that I've handled are exactly like you see right here.
Wow.
So I don't think they need to be worked with. I think they just need to feel secure. They're very intelligent. They're super intelligent. So as soon as they realize they're not being threatened, this is just how they are, right straight out of a tree.
That's insane to me. So do you have like a technique though, like when going up to them so you don't put them on the defense? Because like I know with some snakes, when you pull back and stuff, they're going to be more jerky too. So like, are you just so like smooth with like your entrance that they're just like, oh, this lady knows what she's doing?
Yes, I actually realized with these animals, when I only had a couple of them, that they're extremely curious. And so if they have something to focus on and they think they're going to be able to get to that thing they're focused on, then they're not focused on me and scared. So when I handle them in the wild, you know, of course, mine are super used to it. I can just do whatever I want. But in the wild, I do get the end of their body, and I just kind of treadmill my hands and kind of let them do what these guys are doing. They see something, and I let them have as much freedom as I can give them, and I don't hold them. You know, I just like treadmill them. And as soon as they realize that they are not in any danger, then I can start holding the whole body like this.
Got it.
And even though these are all males, usually I have 5 of them that I bring out when I do a podcast, and I can still get them out. They're all males, and they get along superbly. They get left alone. Like, they aren't allowed to come out at night and wander and do what they want to do. But I have one male who tries to hump every one of these snakes, and he will jump off of one vine. I am actually working on a video I screen recorded all night long and the next morning. And he just jumps off one vine and jumps onto the snakes and tries to wrap them. And then you can see him like doing his suave movements on them.
Yeah, that's funny.
He's not one of my ambassadors because of that. But my other 5 males are all ambassadors, and they can come out anytime and have never one time ever struck or looked stressed at all.
Yeah.
But that other one stresses all the other snakes out, so he can't be part of the group.
Okay.
But I give him a lot of individual love.
Okay. So how many hours a day do you spend in the room with them? 24 hours a day, or what do you do?
I do sleep in here. You can see videos on my social media where the hammock that I have there, but I have some different straps and I hang it up high, so I'm way up here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the animals slither all around on those vines. And you can see in some of the pictures and videos, you know, they come down and sniff me. Sometimes I put my hand up and they sniff my hand. So I do sleep with them sometimes, but usually sometimes I don't see them for days. If I don't have their doors open and they're not, you know, out and about, sometimes I just leave them down here. So
Okay.
I don't always handle them. I usually actually only handle them normally right on the same day I feed them. I always handle them before I feed them. And they're all potty trained. So I never, ever, ever have poops in these cages. I have a rain chamber. Even though these are rain chambers, I still take them out and I put them in a different rain chamber. And as soon as I put that 90-degree filtered water raining on them, they drop their tails and I just put a little pan under them and they poop in the pan and I throw it outside.
That's
They're not just beautiful and sweet, but they're so smart and potty trained.
That's crazy. That's insane. So I guess let's go shift to Cheyenne for a little bit, and if you want to talk about Kada and Khalil, and just your journey with them from little on, because you got them all as babies. So how many hours a day did that go in for you to make them the big puppy dogs everyone sees on your social media now?
Yeah, so I got Kada when he was probably a month old. And Kada was already tame. He was already social when I got him. I don't know if you guys can see him, but he's just chilling right here, right now. He's like, Mom, open the door. I'm not going to open the door. Right now, he's going to be all over the place. But I got him when he was a month old. He was already social, so I really didn't need to do any, taming or socializing with him. I did. I was with him like 4 to 5 hours a day. And I got Kilo when she was 3 months old. And from the moment that I got her, she was so defensive. Like, I could step in the room and she would freeze. I would try to feed her. She wouldn't eat. She would wait until I would leave the room. And then whenever I would try to socialize with her, my boyfriend and I, she would bite, she would hiss, she would tail whip. So it was like, it gave me PTSD for a little bit trying to handle her, because I was just like, man, I'm going to try to like stick my hand in there and she's going to charge me. She's going to try to bite me. But it took about the same amount of time as we spent with Kada. It took about 4 to 5 hours every single day to break her from those kind of habits. And what we did was we just took whatever she did to us, because I thought of it this way: if I stick my hand in there and she bites me and I retreat, she's going to do that every single time, because she knows that that's what she's going to do to get rid of me. So I said, okay, well, how can I make sure that like I don't get hurt in the process of, trying to get her to trust me? I put a glove on. Like, it's really that simple. I feel like people, overthink it when they get, the small lizard like that. She was small at the time, but they get a lizard like that and they're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do? Like, I don't want to stress it out. And it's like, well, no matter what, they're going to be a little stressed out in the beginning because they don't know you, right? It's kind of like being hurt in a relationship. And I'm not opening the door, Brittany. But it's kind of like, being hurt in a relationship and then, finally years down the line, getting into another relationship, and you have a wall up, they're guarded. So you kind of have to build a trusting relationship with them and just roll with the punches sometimes. And that's what I did with her. And within 3 weeks of having her, her temperament was like a 360 with us. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
That's a journey for sure. I know I've dealt with certain things with my coming eye water monitor, and I did like look at your page and use you for some inspo, because I feel like so many people talk crap about people who use gloves when working with certain stuff. And like when I got bit by my monitor, it was probably one of the worser bites I have taken, just because of how much it does bleed and everything like that. It's a good bite. Besides my cycler, it's definitely one that hurt the worst too. So I just think like having that confidence and that protection, like you said, it builds a better relationship with that animal, because you're not retreating, you're not pulling back, you're not being jerky. And I think that can disrupt a lot of relationships. Like this question below, it's talking about, in your experience, are some snakes more social than others? And do you find being social inheritable as well? For instance, do you see snakes progeny having similar disposition to their parents?
That's
Which
interesting.
I feel like that can be said for snakes, maybe in particular, like with captive bred and different stuff like that. But I think also with lizards as well, because monitors in particular, I think it's a night and day difference when you have captive bred versus wild caught. And then disposition of parents, I think, does kind of play a role into things. But I kind of want Amy's input on this, because emerald tree boas are just like the notorious known snake for having grumpy dispositions and being just complete maniacs. But I mean, you're one of a few people now that I've seen. I mean, you're the first person I've ever seen that has the bond that you do with these animals. but I've seen them not be defensive before with good keepers. And is that just because you do have those positive associations and you keep them positive with them so they don't have that reason to not trust you?
I don't have any scientific data in that area, but what I do believe, because of the way they act when I find them in nature and the way these act, and then some, of course, I attract other keepers who like to do the things I do. And I know what kind of enclosures they have them in. And I really think that when the animals are secure and happy, that they have a better disposition. And I'm sure there are examples of these kinds of snakes that live in a naked tub with no stimulation, no room. These guys move around all night long. They love to get lots of exercise in the wild. So I think if they're not getting exercise, they're not getting any stimulation, they have nothing to be curious about, that all they have is their, fight or flight.
Yeah.
So I think that the more stimulation and love they get, that this is more likely. But of course, that's just my opinion.
Well, no, but that's why I was curious, because you've seen them in the wild and everyone says wild caughts are like, stay away from, they're nasty, this and that. I mean, the only thing I really would agree on is like the parasites that they can come in with. And if you're not equipped to take care of that, then yeah, it's not a good choice. But it's very interesting to hear that, from you, you've seen them in the wild and you've seen them act just like a captive bred one would act. So that's
another piece of empirical data is that, I do know what these animals go through in the wild from the time that they're captured, who's capturing them, how they're captured, what they go through before they get to the exporter, and then what they have to go through to get all the way to whatever country they're being shipped to. So if we're talking a huge difference between a snake that I'm playing with straight out of the tree to an emerald that's been through living hell and is now, living in this environment, has been terribly dehydrated and abused really in all kinds of ways. So the reputation of the wild caught once they get here is, I would love to get my hands on one of those animals, but after it's already here, I've never actually held a captive northern. I did actually hold a northern at an expo in Dallas last month. That was my first northern I've ever seen with my eyes that was not in the wild.
okay.
So, and he was perfectly fine. So I really don't know if it's me. I would like to know. I would like to handle some animals that are unhandleable just to see if it's me. I don't know.
I think a part of it is you. I think that you're a very special soul, and it takes, a special person to have that kind of relationship with, those kind of animals that people seem to demonize because they don't necessarily understand,
Yes, thank you. They definitely demonize them. And also, calling them display animals, these animals, like I said, they're so intelligent and interactive and curious. I just think it's a terrible discredit to the animals to never touch them. I think they like it.
Yeah, no, and the cage sizing that you were talking about too, I think is really interesting, because I find so many people say they don't need large cages, they don't move, they just sit on a branch all day. And I feel like that's kind of the farthest from the truth, especially after watching your page and seeing your, the videos of you sleeping with them at night, and they're all over the place. And right now they don't seem like they're wanting to just coil and sit still on you. They're trying to move around and see what's going on.
Yes.
I have a question. In the wild, do they hang out in groups, or are they solitary like people project them to be?
They're pretty solitary. I have seen, what, you sweet thing? I've seen two together, not far apart. They were probably, I'll say, not even 100 feet apart.
Okay.
And it was two different trees, but we could see both of them at the same time. And then some of my team that I go with out Suriname said that and they've been doing these snakes for decades, only one time they've ever seen two together in one tree. And, someone might assume they were male and female, but I have the video proof that a male will desperately try to breed with another male if he's horny enough.
Yeah.
I think that's most animals.
Yeah. All these 5 don't do it, but that one male, he is just terrible.
That's funny. So yeah, I wanted to read this question. What kind of precautions do you take going in and out of the country in regards to illnesses or whatever you may encounter out in the wilderness? So do you mean precautions for you and your health and illnesses, or the animals?
He's probably talking about me, or Vanna, he or she or they, I don't know. But I personally, I got all the shots back when I first started doing it. Important ones are yellow fever. I don't know I don't know the names of them, but
Okay.
the yellow fever is the most important one. The one thing I've never done, which I shouldn't even say this, but I've never done the malaria medication, which I really should.
Okay.
So that's something people usually do. But just since you brought in the health of the animals, and I do always take antibiotics with me, just in case anything were to happen. I've never had to use. The worst injury I've ever had is trying to peel a wild nut, Brazilian nut, and got the shell deep in my thumbnail. So that's my worst injury ever out there. But as far as the animals go, as far as I know, I've never heard of any precautionary treatments for these animals over there. Even to the fact where they usually don't even get water from the time they're captured until they turn up at a good exporter's house. And another thing that I really like to stress, because my very good friends are exporters, and that is they've been doing that for decades and decades. It's legal in some countries, and that's just the way it is. And you can get into a taxi cab in Suriname, and I have gotten into a taxi cab, multiple taxi cabs, that the driver can actually tell me which exporters will only take a fresh, healthy animal and which will take anything you bring them. So not all exported snakes are coming diseased and unhealthy, but some are. If we could pay better attention to our exporters, there are plenty of these snakes out there in the wild. 85% of Suriname is untouched, unseen by man. So there are plenty of these animals out there. And if we could pay better attention to the exporters who are sending them to whatever country we're in, we could get a lot more healthy animals coming in.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we have those exporters who will just buy anything and just sell them, crates of hundreds of them at a time, shipping them over.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it seems that way in a lot of animal trades, like with birds and everything. So it is unfortunate, but it is good to highlight, I guess, the people that are doing it for the right reasons and doing a good job with it, because, especially with platforms, like your platform's growing, especially, like it's nice to educate those people so they know, because I think a lot of people too, they just don't know any different. And that can become a problem some of the time. So she was saying, for the animals that you keep at home, do you do anything special when you come home from a trip? But I'm assuming that any viruses or anything, that is not a problem by the time that you're home, because it's all dissipated by the time you return, and you don't have any issues worried about that with cross-contamination.
I've never had any issues with that. I have not. I don't think those parasites are transferable to people, but I haven't done any in-depth research on that, if it even exists. So no, I have never taken a precaution to think that something transferred from an animal to me and then me bringing it home to the animals. So that's a good question. I didn't even think of that aspect of it.
Cheyenne, Benny is requesting that you let him out again.
I know. He sees me and he's like, let me out. But he's the type of monitor where you have to like pay attention to him and where he goes and what he does, because he's gonna get into stuff, and
Yeah.
I can't do that as I'm on live.
No, I feel like male lizards do that too, because my male rhino iguana, like the minute he steps foot out, like what chaos can I commit today? And I'm just
Exactly. Yeah.
need a breathing moment sometimes. Where the female will just stay in the cage even though the door is open and just be like, I'm gonna wait for you to bring me the food.
Yep. That's how Kilo is too.
Yeah, they're smarter, I think, in a lot of ways. So let's see. I was gonna talk a little bit more about Cheyenne, your social media. I was gonna say, what got you growing as far as you did, because you do have a good following and a lot of following. Did you do anything special? Because I know a lot of people always want to know how to grow their social media with their animals and how to educate more people. So you have any tips for people?
Yeah, so I actually started out on TikTok, and then I just, put my TikTok content onto Instagram, but I focused on people knowing my lizards more than me. Like, I want to make sure that people are able to connect with them, because at the end of the day, it's about them and not me. So I feel like what I did was I tried to make people emphasize with understanding them, because, with big lizards, we're talking about one of the most intelligent lizards in the world. Asian water monitors, they're really like puppy dogs. Sometimes they can be like cats. So, understanding it in that kind of way, I feel like helped me grow, because it's different than, what some other people are kind of doing. Like, you have breeders and they're on there trying to, grow their business and they're trying to sell, but they're not really focusing on like one specific reptile that people can actually connect to. And it's all about connecting, right? That's what we're looking for when we're on social media. It's connection. So building that connection between people and my reptiles, like most of my people, except for Benny, most people can tell the difference between Kata and Kilua. Like, I can post, even though they look exactly the same and they're in the exact same enclosures, I can post a picture of Kilua and Brittany will say, that one's Kilua because Kilua has crazy eyes. So yeah, it's just about building a connection between the animals and the audience.
Okay, that's really cool. I kind of wanted to ask Amy too, if you said you get some hate sometimes, but do you also get a lot of love on your social media, like your Instagram and stuff with everything? Okay.
Yes. And I haven't put very much effort into growing my social medias, but I'm working on that more now.
Yeah. And I feel like it'll start growing on its own without saying, because, I mean, it's incredible. It's a page. I've never seen another page like it personally.
Awesome.
So,
I just really want more people to treat these animals with the love and respect that they deserve. So if by putting some effort into my social media grows that message, then that's what I will do.
Yeah.
But I really liked what I'm sorry, what is your name again?
Cheyenne.
Cheyenne?
Yeah.
I really liked what you said about making the real Khaleesi. I'm gonna call you that instead. I liked what the real Khaleesi said about, that it's about the animals, not about me. Because I just want people to get to know my animals, because I think that through getting to know my animals, then they can know their animals better. Because it's a side of these emeralds that people just don't typically get to see or even believe exists or dramatically deny is possible.
No, for sure. And I feel like a lot of the photos you see of them portrayed on the internet, it's people grabbing them behind the head, their teeth are showing out. And it's just like you see a completely different side of these animals. And if you're newer to reptiles or you're just looking, I feel like you're going to automatically just move away from that species because they are put in a bad light, just like pit bulls can be put in a bad light. I feel like they can be really given a bad rep. And it really comes down to the handler.
Mm-hmm. Cool. How much time do we have left on here?
I am not sure. I'm going to look at the time. I would say we could keep going for another 10 minutes if we wanted to talk about a few more things and wrap it up.
I'm going to put these guys away and take you guys upstairs. I have a whole little zoo of rescue animals up there.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
But you guys can just keep talking and all.
Yes. Cheyenne, I wanted to ask you too, you get a lot of love on your page, but did you ever receive any backlash saying like they're gonna eat you? Can I feed my friend to them? Like do you deal with annoying stuff like that, and how do you deal with it? How do you shake it off?
Yeah, it's a constant it's a constant thing. I think that, you know, being on the internet, people are crazy and they just say anything. So it's kind of like I'm at the point where I just do what celebrities do. I don't even bother entertaining those people. Before I did, right? But you can't argue with stupid, and people are going to have their own opinions, and that's fine. But just let people say whatever they want. At the end of the day, who cares? Like, are they that relevant in your life to where that affects you? You know what I mean? Like, it's not even worth, you know, being mad over anymore. Like I had a comedian not too long ago, I think it was like last month. She made a video about one of my viral videos, like a response video. And I didn't get mad because I mean it happens all the time. But she's, you know, someone that's African American. So I wrote back and I said, I don't approve of this black on black crime. And then we just started, you know, laughing because it was just hilarious. And people are like, I'm glad that you can, you know, look at this kind of stuff and laugh. And it's like, yeah, it's not that serious. It's just the internet. You're going to get hate. You know, we're dealing with animals that are different than, you know, the average person. So just gently educate them or ignore them.
Yeah. That's definitely, I think, what I do as well with stuff is I'll either educate them just a little bit because it's good to get some education out there about it. Otherwise, I kind of just delete the comment or leave it on because it gets you traction. So yeah. I always just say thank you for the interaction.
Yeah. Or just joke with them, you know. But I feel like, too, people in the comments they'll eat each other up because they love to argue, you know. Yeah. And once you build a strong following, people will go on there and they'll defend you or they'll help you out or they'll, you know, educate some of those people that are leaving, you know, negative comments on your stuff.
Oh, a green iguana. Oh my gosh. So yeah, you have lizards then too. Show us all of your rescues up here.
I have this iguana, and I even thought about these guys upstairs when the real Khaleesi mentioned the cicadas because I have two of those. And then I have two king snakes. And these animals are all rescues. This one, somebody found someone who was keeping her in a Tupperware cake box thing. And you couldn't even touch this thing. You couldn't even get close to her. We had to trap her just to try to hold her. And I kept kissing her and loving her. And I told her I'm going to love her till she likes it. And she likes it now. And she can she just went last week to one of my neighbors' Mad Hatter tea parties, and everybody was holding her, and she just is very curious and intelligent and super sweet. She lives free roam in my house. You can see here, she lives here in this window. That's her perch. She has her little system. I clip big leaves of food on to her water bowl over there so she can eat natural, like she's pulling it off the trees.
Yeah.
And she potty trained herself. She poops only in that plant right there. She just hangs her little self off and poops right in there in the same spot, the same time every day. And then below her, she has the pet sulcatas. And the sulcatas, these things, this one is still not very friendly, but you can see he has some pyramiding on him.
Yeah.
But we've had him for a whole year now. So everything between the pyramiding, between his scoots is growing in flat.
Okay.
So he's really, when we first got him, it was deep cleavage in there.
Yeah.
So he's really come a long way. And before, he wouldn't even come out of his shell at all. He would like just tighten up. So this is really good for him.
Yeah.
And this one, believe it or not, was living in a snake rack drawer.
Wow.
When I got him. So he just had a water bowl. He couldn't get in it. And newspaper, just like a snake. Somebody was keeping him. So we were extremely glad to get him. And he just lives on this big table. He's got rocks and caves he digs in, and his water, his heat spot. Him and the iguana fight over the heat spot. And they spend a lot of time together. At first, the iguana was really skeptical of the turtle. I know it's a tortoise, but a tortoise is a subset of a turtle, so it doesn't really matter if I say that.
Same thing.
I do just typically call them turtles because most people I know have no idea the difference between a turtle and a tortoise. But when the iguana would be real leery of this animal. But now this animal will knock that iguana and budge him, and the iguana stands his ground. And they literally, I have posts on my Facebook. Instagram, I only do the green snakes, but on my Facebook, I put all of these guys. And so I had a cool video of that, this turtle like sticking his head under the lizard's leg and trying to dump him off the rock. But they're
big person.
They're so full of personality.
They are. So, Khaleesi, do you want a quick answer? What are some signs that your lizards are happy for you?
What are the signs?
For like the signs that you see from like your lizards that show that they're happy to be around with you and like working with you. That was like a question asked by David.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw me go pick her up off that perch, but yeah. I can just go pick her right up. Anybody can. Okay. So, and anybody can hold her, and she'll study the face and, just look really good. And when I first got her, she was extremely flighty. You could not touch her. Like I said, we would have to trap her. And, she has just come such a long way. So I believe that her temperament really shows that she's above tolerant of being touched. She enjoys it. When I ask her if she wants to go outside, she gets so excited. And I take her out there, and she just like puts all her weight down on my hand and just starts looking around. She's not trying to jump on things or get away. She just knows that's her. But awesome. These animals were hatched together. This animal, after the person found that I took this one from the people that had it in the snake rack drawer, asked if I could take the one they had. And this thing was as big as a silver dollar when I got it. And it's finally starting to grow. And this one was fed straw and pellets, which is what's suggested for these animals to be fed. And they do not eat dry stuff as little babies. So they needed to have greens and different things. So I think there's a lot of misinformation, even on the sulcata tortoise group, about, you'll see a lot of people say, oh, you have to feed them hay and pellets and all of these things. Well, they don't eat that until they're maybe 5 years old. And I got that information from, nice people who raise them for real and really know.
Yeah.
So these guys are both rescues. And this little one also has his own little table over there. I do aerial gymnastics, so I have all this stuff everywhere. But that little table over there is where they both used to live. Okay. And the big one was a real bully. And you wouldn't have really noticed what a bully he was until we took him out. I thought, well, maybe that little one would like to be alone. And so I made the big one his own house now. And that little one started doing all of the cool stuff the big one did. Yeah. Where before he didn't do anything. And I just chalked it up to him being small and malnourished. But he did not want to be in there with that big one.
Yeah. Sulcatas, they're pretty sassy.
They are. The one that I had, he knew when it was feeding time, and when we didn't feed him like on the dot, he would run up his hide and he would jump off and he would flip himself over multiple times until we fed him, and I was like, okay, he's too smart and he's nuts. Like, what are we gonna do with him?
So do you still have your sulcata, or did you rehome it, or what was the situation? Because you said it was kind of like a rescue situation.
Yeah, he wasn't something that we intended to keep forever. We ended up rehoming him to a coworker, but they get really big, and they really need a yard and things like that, and that's not something that we would have been able to provide at that time. So
no, for sure. I was gonna ask Amy what she plans to do when they get bigger, because I heard how much they dig, and was wondering what her enclosure plans, because you obviously do amazing enclosures. So I was wondering what your long-term plan is for those two guys.
We have been talking about rehoming them.
Okay.
But we probably will never be able to do that. But we do have a whole entire plan. We did have a plan right now to just invest thousands of dollars into an outdoor space for them now. And then just like less than a week ago, a huge hawk stole the baby blue jay out of the nest, and the raccoons are always leaving geese eggs on the porch. So these guys are too small yet to go outside, probably for a couple more years.
Okay.
So we decided to hold off on that investment for now, and we're going to put a big sliding door in and move the iguana over there with one of those big outdoor cat cage.
Yeah, the catio.
So spend more time outside. But this also is one of the rescues. It's an Aztec king snake, and we started off just fostering it, and then it was also living in a snake rack drawer. And this thing, I let this king snake, if you're keeping a king snake in a rack drawer, it's a terrible, sad thing, because this snake, when we first got her, she would bite herself, every little thing, you just opened her snake rack drawer when I met her, and she would just come out attacking. And this animal, she slithers. There's tons of plants, everything everywhere. She digs in every single plant, sniffs all around it. She slithers up into the habitats, both of the tortoises. She goes and sniffs the tortoises. She slithers. She slithers all the way up these vines and all the way up here. And she goes everywhere, and she's super curious and fun, and she just really enjoys her little life. And these kind of snakes.
She free roams in that room, or does she have a cage?
She has a cage.
Oh, okay.
I actually have two of these. I have the male is down here, and then she lives in here.
Okay.
But she does free roam, but she has to have adult supervision. Which my husband says means he's in the room, not just me. I get sidetracked very easy.
Yeah, I do that too sometimes.
But there are lots of times when it's like I hear my little 360 thing go off that he left work, and I'm like, oh shit, where's Serapi? I don't even know where she is. I have to go try to find her before he gets home, so he doesn't have to stress out and help me look for her.
That's always funny. So is that who all lives in that room then right now for your rescues?
Yes, the two king snakes, two sulcatas, and my sweet little Jaja.
That is so cool.
It's so interesting because I feel like, there's a standard way of how people think that we should keep animals, and then when people do something that's different, you see something different in their behavior, and then it's like people will call you crazy, and it's like, we're not crazy, it's just trying something different to see how the animal is going to respond. And I think that your animals respond in such a beautiful and amazing way with you. I'm so happy that you have them and that they're with you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's super awesome, especially like some of the rescues, like that green iguana, especially like iguanas get thrown out a lot, and I've seen horrendous things done to them. And, it's just a beautiful thing when you can give an animal like that such a good life, because, again, that's an animal that has a bad reputation. And, in Florida, they're just known as invasive species, and they're hunted, and they just have this bad name to them. And I think, at least my relationship I've had with green iguanas in the past, like, I think they're wonderful, loving animals. I think they just take longer to trust you than a gecko and certain other species. Like, when you put them up to bat with other animals, they take a little bit longer to trust you. But that's so cool how you just like smothered her with love, and she finally was just like, okay,
That's what I told her. I'm gonna kiss you till you like it. And I do. I kiss her so much. She just keeps eating like I'm not even there.
Oh my God. Did she ever like bite at you or tail whip at you then, like in the beginning, and then you just kept going for it and she just ended up just subduing to it?
Mm-hmm. Because I never put her in a cage since I've had her. And she stays up there for the most part. When I'm gone for weeks at a time and my husband works all day, then she'll start coming around and you'll see stuff moved around. She's been out and about, and a little poop somewhere sometimes. And because she'll still do her regular one in her spot, but when she goes out about in the house, she might mark her territory a little bit. So it's always very small when that happens. And that's how we might know she came down. But she comes down and she doesn't stay down long. We have cameras everywhere. And she goes right back up there. She's eating right now. She's so cute.
Yeah.
But
do you live in a warmer climate then?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I live in Arkansas.
Okay, I was curious, like for humidity and everything, like how you maintain it. Do you have like a humidifier running in that room for her?
No, but what I do have is my husband, and I should have showed you downstairs too. I have hoses with these sprayers, and all of our water for our reptiles is filtered, hot and cold filtered, and then it has photo developing equipment hooked to it that keeps the water temperature regulated. So this is a 90-degree spray, and I just spray everybody. And I keep everything pretty humid.
Yeah.
So, and I do that downstairs too.
On top of like having the rain chambers and everything as well.
Yes.
That's cool.
Downstairs is, really set up with the whole misting systems and rain showers and air and heat, everything. But guess where I get to go in 9 days?
Are you going back?
Yes. Dave and I are going to Colombia. But we went to Suriname last month, and then we're going to Colombia next month. But something cool, somebody who I didn't even know about until recently, he started giving me some shout outs for my work, and I learned who he was, and I did more research on him, and now I'm just in love with him. Is Tom and Stacy Crutchfield.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I get to go over there, and they are like as far as I can see from what I'm seeing online, is they're like the masters of animal handling, treating the animals with love and respect, and getting the love and respect back from the animals. So I'm super excited to get to go over there and meet them.
No, that's always nice to meet other people who are passionate about the same things you are in the community. I think it always can like invigorate you to do more things and make your passion grow stronger for the things that you do. So that's really, really cool. You get to go do that and make new connections. I'm excited for you.
Yes.
Yeah, they're super nice people. I think you would like them and enjoy the Crutchfield farm.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know I'm going to. And then we're also going python hunting with Amy Sieve. Do you know who she is? She's just now starting to make a big name for herself. She just got a big sponsorship from a product tire company that sells tires for, I don't know if it's for all vehicles, but they are Bass Pro Shop. And anyway, she's a python huntress. She is the python huntress.
Okay.
And so we're going to go do a python hunt with her and then head off to Colombia. And Dave's doing a movie on boas. So he's looking for his boas. And since he's going to an area where there are also emeralds, then I'm going to go with him and look for the emeralds.
Yeah, that'll be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So we are getting close to an hour, so I'm trying to think of a good way to like wrap things up. And I guess like I'm gonna ask both of you individually, and you can take as long as you want to answer. But what do you guys want to be remembered for, or at least known for? Like if you could leave one thing with people as you like left, what would you want to tell people to like that's about you or super important to you?
For me, I would say just inspiring people and making sure that people get the animal that's right for them, you know, because if people get the animal that's right for them, then maybe there won't be so many animals that need rescuing, you know, maybe people won't impulsively buy an animal just because they think it's cool. Like I can't tell you how many times I get messages from people that are like, you know, I love your black dragons, I want one, but I know it's not realistic for me at this time. You know, it's something that I have to wait for in the next 5 years. So I feel like that's what I want to be known by. But I also want to start a reptile commune. So reptile commune and a reality TV show. I think that'd be awesome.
Where's that going to be? What state are you in?
I'm in Wyoming, so it won't be out here.
Oh, no, you have to come to Arkansas. We have plenty of land. We have a great environment. Or we could do it in Suriname.
Yeah. Suriname would be great.
Yeah, that's my dream, is to open an emerald sanctuary in Suriname.
That'd be really cool.
Hopefully that comes.
Yeah.
What I would like to be remembered for is that our reptiles are intelligent and curious, communicative, and loving. And they are not cold animals that have no feeling or understanding of what's going on with them. And that none of these reptiles I don't think any of them should be kept in rack drawers, because even ball pythons, my daughter had a ball python when she was a little girl, and it was a free roam. I've always just had a thing about animals being caged. And that snake, we raised gerbils, and he could go get his own gerbils. We would always find him in the fish tank. So, I mean, he got out and about and would sleep. He had like his few different places. We would know where he would be in those places. And I even had to take the fish out of the fish tank and give him a smaller fish tank, because every time he went into the fish tank, he would poop. So even that ball python was potty trained, if you could call it that. So even if there's one justification of an animal in a drawer, it would be the ball python. But even my own very small experience with a ball python, they still enjoyed exercise and got out and about and did things. And if an animal needs to move around and get exercise, that's what animals do. So I would like to leave with the world to let your snakes get stimulation and exercise and love, and they will appreciate it, and they will show their appreciation.
Yeah, I think that's a really beautiful thing for sure.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If you guys could have any animal in the world and there weren't any laws, money wasn't an issue, money and space weren't an issue, what would it be?
Amy, you can go first.
Man, that's such a tough question. You know, like if I really got to do any animal in the world and really give it the great environment and have the relationship like I have with my animals here right now, it would probably be some really big cat, like a tiger or something. Just something big and majestic that, you know, I could give it all the space it needs, raise its food, and, you know, like money was no issue. I could do whatever I wanted. I would want to bond with something huge like a tiger.
Yeah. I would say mine too. I've always had an admiration for lions and the way that they work and move. And I think that would be such a cool animal to work with, but I just know that you could never fully give it what they needed unless you could buy it.
But in this case, we could.
Yeah, but in my perfect world, yeah, a lion would just be the perfect animal, I think. And because I honestly believe, especially with big cats, when they allow you into their inner circle, so to speak, like it's because they do trust and respect you. And that's never gonna like change. It's never catty. It's always just straightforward on like how it's supposed to be and how your relationship stands. And I really admire that about them.
The only reason I chose the big cat is because I don't know if my dragon eggs are ever going to hatch. So if my dragon eggs ever hatch, then it will definitely be a dragon.
True. Dragons are number one. I'm still waiting to find an egg that's going to hatch as well.
I'll give you guys an egg.
I know, that's what made me think of it. I was just about to ask you the question, and then when I looked at your name, and those dragon eggs were right there. That big dragon right next to it. Yeah. So you inspired.
But what would your dream animal be? Is it a dragon, or what would you say, Cheyenne?
Well, I have the two already, so it would for sure be a Bengal tiger or a jaguar or a shark. I think that sharks are really cool. Having a huge aquarium, I feel like that's like such a majestic, euphoric feeling. Like imagine being in a shark tank with a shark. That's, a bit nuts, but
no. I'm actually certified. My husband and I are certified for shark conservation, and we actually swim with sharks and touch them and rub them. And you would actually be very surprised how predictable they are. And one time my husband accidentally got his ear sliced by a shark tooth. It was a total mistake. It was an accident from the shark. And there was blood in the water. Those animals do not care about our blood. They just want the fish that's in the box. So if you ever get the opportunity, I don't know if you're already a certified scuba diver, but it's not hard to get certified, and then you can move on with that and work with wild sharks. It's an amazing experience.
I haven't worked with sharks. I am certified for 60 feet, but I have problems equalizing. I'm partially deaf. So if I continue to scuba dive, unfortunately, there's that risk of losing the rest of my hearing.
Well, the good thing about the shark, working with the sharks, is you usually don't even go below a whole atmosphere. It's usually in pretty shallow water. So just to keep it safe.
Okay. Well, maybe we can plan a trip. That sounds fun.
Yeah. I will say, like, one of the best trips I ever went on was when I went on some excursions in Bora Bora and got to see all the wildlife. And I swam with sharks, nurse sharks, lemon sharks, black tips, and they were just so peaceful. Like, they just didn't care at all. And you were like 2 feet from them in the wild, and they were so tame.
Misunderstood. They're so misunderstood.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for this wonderful podcast. I had so much fun learning more about both of you, honestly. Post an e-message for the viewers walking.
And what was your name again?
My name is Brooke.
Brooke. I'll have to find you guys on Instagram. Yes. I literally got the message at 3 minutes to 6 asking if I could come on here. So
yeah, no, anybody out for doing last minute. I was gonna say my social media is Bo Lizard on Instagram, and then if you guys wanted to say your names again, just so everyone can know, he can put them up on. Oh, you have them both up. So that's where people can find us on social media. And then a positive message for the viewers. I just want to say this podcast is really about kindness and spreading kindness and being positive. And I think we had a wonderful, positive meeting here tonight. And I think as long as we can keep going out into the community and spreading this type of positivity and kindness and showing our relationships with our animals, I think it's a really wonderful thing.
Yeah. I want to remember to gently educate people.
You just educate them till they like it.
Right?
Just force it on them, and then it'll be okay.
Well, I'll tell you, I was a mathematics professor up until 2020. That's my career. My degrees and everything are that. And that is really forcing people to learn something. So getting to help people love reptiles, and especially the emeralds, is such a relief to me. I love it.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Thank you, guys. It was so nice to meet you both.
I'm going to this off, but I think if I leave this, I'll be able to talk to you guys. Sorry, this is live and I have no idea how to close this, but we'll figure it out together. Thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you guys.